On the Hawkeyes Sports Network from Learfield, this is the Fight for Iowa podcast. Brought to you by Athletico Physical Therapy, proud partner of the Iowa Hawkeyes and the Big Ten Conference. Hy-Vee, where there's a helpful smile in every aisle. Iowa's corn farmers of the Iowa Corn Growers Association and Iowa Corn Promotion Board. You may think Iowa grows corn, but the truth is, corn grows Iowa. Shields, we're right there with you in Des Moines, Sioux City, Iowa City, and Cedar Falls. University of Iowa Healthcare, changing medicine, changing lives. This is the Fight for Iowa podcast. Here's the voice of the Hawkeyes, Gary Dolphin.
Iowa All-American forward Chris Murray will join twin brother Keegan on the West Coast when he starts his NBA career. The Portland Trail Blazers made Murray the 23rd pick in the first round of this week's draft. Chris Murray averaged 20 points and 8 rebounds his junior year with the Hawkeyes, but the Trail Blazers covet his defensive skills as well. Portland had the third worst defense in the NBA this season. The Blazers also own the third overall selection and used that for the G League elites Scoot Henderson, a 6'2" combo guard. Murray joined superstar Damian Lillard in Portland. Lillard averaged 32 points. Chris Murray is excited to start the next chapter of his basketball livelihood.
I kind of knew that I'd kind of be in that range, so it was just I felt like it would be a good fit if I were to go there, and it just happened to work out, and just really excited to be there too. Just got off the phone; they're excited to have me. Said they were running through the halls when they picked me, so I'm definitely excited to just meet everyone and get to Portland. I think it'll be really good situation, and Coach Bill's a good coach, so just looking forward to it.
What do you think of the potential of playing with Lillard and Scoot Henderson?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of athleticism, smart basketball players. Dame's been a guy who's been in the league for a long time, kind of knows the ins and outs of it, and Scoot's a really talented point guard, and I'm just looking forward to getting to know them even more, and just kind of creating that bond. Looking forward to a good year.
Came close to maybe playing with your brother. Were you thinking that at all?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely came to my mind. It would have been cool, but yeah, I definitely think going our separate paths and being competitors first is going to be a really good opportunity for us. And I mean, the first time it'll probably be cool. A lot of my family will probably head out west to watch that, and it'll definitely be a fun game to watch. All my Eastern Iowa folks will probably be tuned into that game. So it's gonna be late night games nowadays. So.
Congratulations to Chris Murray, headed west to join the Portland Trail Blazers. 50 years ago, Hawkeye center, 7-foot Kevin Kunnert, a two-time team MVP after averaging 18.5 points and 14.5 rebounds his junior and senior seasons, was preparing for his moment in the NBA spotlight. Kunnert left Iowa, its all-time leading rebounder with 914 and 48 double-doubles, a record that still stands. He, too, would be a first-round draft pick. After this time out, Kevin Kunnert revisits his memorable seasons in the old Fieldhouse on the Fight for Iowa podcast, sponsored by Athletico, UIHC, Iowa Corn, and Shields.
More of the Fight for Iowa podcast after this.
After a cancer diagnosis, it's natural to want to start treatment right away. But first, get a second opinion from a team that specializes in your cancer. I'm Dr. George Weiner, Director of University of Iowa Holden Comprehensive Cancer Center. Before you start treatment, you deserve to be confident you have the right diagnosis and know every option available to you. So whether it's with us or somewhere else, get a second opinion. It can change your care and your life.
Hey everyone, I'm Mark Wahlberg, and I have some exciting news to share. At Wahlburgers, we are all about bringing the family together to enjoy a great meal and have a great time. That's why right now, for a limited time, kids eat free every day at all Hy-Vee Wahlburger locations. Kids 12 and under can enjoy one free kids meal with any purchase of an adult burger, sandwich, or entree salad.
Bring the family to Wahlburgers and the Wahlburgers and Hy-Vee stores, where right now, kids can eat free.
Now back to the Fight for Iowa podcast. Here's the voice of the Hawkeyes, Gary Dolphin.
Although he played his career at Iowa for Dick Schultz in the early 1970s, star Hawkeye center Kevin Kunnert was recruited by the Hall of Famer Ralph Miller, who abruptly left for Oregon State following the Hawkeyes' magical undefeated Big Ten season of 1969-70. A two-time most valuable player for the Hawks, Kunnert was shocked when Miller pulled up stakes and left for the Great Northwest and the Pac-10.
I played the best for guys who are screamers and hollerers, and it's like they want to scare everybody, and that's Ralph Miller. I remember after one freshman game, he told me that I was supposed to drive to the basket, and I went out and had a really good game, 18 points, whatever, as a freshman. And Lanny Van Amen, the freshman coach, says right before the game, he's talking to the team, and he says, Ralph wants to see you. So they took me in the team room, and he's talking. He comes up, and he pins me in a corner and grabs me by the shirt, and he gets an inch off my face. He says, I thought I told you to drive to the basket. So he was scaring me, but I wished he would have stayed because Dick Schultz was a great guy, but he's real mild-mannered guy. And I respond better to getting hollered at. My dad was a drill instructor in the United States Marine Corps in 42. So I was raised by a Marine Corps drill instructor. So I figured when I was at Iowa, I was going to get in the NBA by playing defense and rebounding. And, you just got to go after every rebound. You got to go after the ball. You don't look who's right, left, anywhere. You just look at the ball above it to you and you just go get it. So I think my junior year, I averaged 15.8 rebounds in the Big Ten. That's very hard to do. The three ball changed the whole game. I played at the end of my NBA career with the three ball just came in. It was further out than I think the first year the NBA, the three ball came in, it was 2 feet out further, and they were only made like 170 of them the whole season. Then they changed it and moved it in. But now if you watch an NBA game or college game, there's three people standing around the three line. And there's no back to the basket center posting up. And it's just all set up for the slashers and the drivers and the cutters and all that. But back in the day, the best thing you get was 2 points. So the paint's packed and everybody was getting so big, it was getting real crowded in there. So it did spread the floor for the slashers and drivers, but it's not the game I played. And you do have to be, I was good at going out in the pick and roll and sliding my feet where the point guard couldn't get past me. But you get a little step slow. That's the rap on Garza is you got to be able to guard that pick and pop or the pick and roll. Or if you can't, you're not going to play much because defense wins games. I don't care what anybody says.
Your good teams in 71, 72, 73 were loaded with tremendous former Iowa high school players, yourself, Rick Williams, Jimmy Collins, Neil Fegabank, Candy LaPrince. I remember transferred in from the junior college ranks, but although you didn't win as many games as you'd like to, those were really talented teams, particularly at the post with you and at the forward positions with Fegabank and Collins.
Yeah, those are two of my best friends. As life goes on, you don't see them as much as you like to, but Fegabank and Collins they're great players in their own right and great people. I really enjoyed their company and playing with them.
Your sophomore year, 1971, you started alongside Freddie Brown, who that year averaged 27.5 points a game. What, in your view, Kevin, set Fred Brown apart from the other great scorers of that era?
Well, Fred Brown was a great shooter. He elevated well, and he could, going in the basket, he could hang in the air. And it's almost like he could go to the basket and pump his feet a little bit, and he'd go higher. So the center would go up and come down. He's still up in the air. I don't know how he did it, but that's kind of what he did. And then obviously he's a very deep threat downtown, Freddie Brown with the Sonics, a scorer, and he was a great shooter out there. And the three ball helped his game because he wasn't very he didn't want to go in there and mix it up too much. He just wanted to shoot the jumper way out there.
Kevin Kunnert was headed to the NBA after his sparkling collegiate career. That's next on the Fight for Iowa podcast.
More of the Fight for Iowa podcast after this.
We all love a good win. Catching up with friends, saving money at the pump, soaking up the perfect Iowa day, sitting down to a really, really good meal. These are the everyday delights that make us smile. These are the moments that connect us all as Iowans. And these are the wins that, more often than not, Start with Iowa's farm families and the crop they're growing. Because when corn grows Iowa, Iowans win. Learn more about how to share your own wins at iowacorn.org/Iowans win.
You don't have to go to the game to get a game program. You can download it now by visiting the game day page on HawkeyeSports.com. That's right, the game program is now digital and it's free. So check it out. Get the roster, the stats, and fascinating stories about today's matchup. Just go to HawkeyeSports.com and click on Game Day.
Oh, you know that old injury of yours? The one in your knee or maybe back? Instead of going to the doctor and then doing physical therapy, why not start with therapy first? Athletico Physical Therapy is changing the whole healing process around. Their physical therapists will find the source of your pain and help fix it. Start with them and start living pain-free. Just like that.
It all starts with Athletico Physical Therapy. Schedule your free assessment at athletico.com. No prescription needed. Proud partner of the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Now back to the Fight for Iowa podcast. Here's the voice of the Hawkeyes, Gary Dolphin.
Former Iowa basketball great Kevin Kunnert was selected with the 12th pick in the first round of the NBA draft in 1973 by the Chicago Bulls, but never played a minute in the Windy City. Kunnert held out as the San Antonio Spurs of the then fledgling ABA hinted they would draft him with the second overall pick. Eventually, Kunnert signed with the Bulls, but was traded in September to Buffalo for Garfield Hurd and 2 draft choices. Kunnert played a productive 10 seasons in the NBA, his best years coming in Houston and Portland. He played in 3 postseasons and had career averages of 8 points and 7 rebounds. He still watches the NBA of current day, mainly the playoffs. Some things excite him, others disappoint him.
Obviously, they do things a lot different. I mean, they just sit there and have a ball boy, and they got, well, I don't know how many assistant coaches they got, but when I played, we had 1. Now they got like 8 or 9, and everybody's got a coach. They'll throw you thousands of basketballs, and they just practice shooting. So they've gotten to be way better shooters. But to me, I call it trick shooting, because what's the game going to? You're going to come over. Lillard can come over half court by about 10 or 12 feet and shoot it and make quite a few of them. So where's it going? Are we going to have a 4-point shot past half court? Or, what's coming? It's, that's, the game is really changed in that respect. But what happens now is you get all this training. Back when I played, nobody ever iced anything. Now they go into ice baths and they're all iced down after every game. They figured out, if you ice your knees and stuff, you can play 20 years. When I played, half the trainers were Army medics. They weren't even physical. They didn't have PT degrees. They were medics. My trainer with the Buffalo Braves and the Celtics trainer, Ray Melchior, he was an Army medic. That was his training.
Who as you think back, and it's easy to miss somebody having played 40, 50 years ago, but who was the best, who was the toughest, who was the best package in the post that you ever played against?
Well, Jabbar was the big load, and then you got, he was hard to stop. I could pretty much stop everybody but Jabbar. And I could pretty much shoot over everybody, but Jabbar, I should have taken him further out in the court and shot more. But back in my day, it's get in there and post up. What are you doing out here? Get in there and post up, and I was a good back to the basket player, but he was tough. But you compare him now to the Joker, and Joker's got 10 times more talent than Jabbar has, just because he can handle it. He has quick moves. He finishes well. I don't know. They say he's 6'11". I think he's about 7'1". I can kind of gauge people by looking at what they can do. And he's got really great touch around the basket. It seems like anything he puts up there rolls in. The old adage, high and soft, give it a chance. So he's very good at that. So he's really fun to watch. He's unprecedented, but these Europeans are told to play out on the floor versus how Americans were coached at that time.
Yeah,
so he's
point.
Fun. And the other good centers, were Gilmore. Thank God he was a little klutzy, Artist Gilmore, and that's what saved us. But And then you got Lanier and Dave Cowens. Every time I saw Cowens, he had fire coming out of his ears. So he was a very intent guy. So that was some of the best guys when I played.
Do you get back to Iowa at all, or do you follow the Hawkeyes from afar?
Oh yeah, I try to watch. I didn't when I first got out of Iowa watch the games, but right now I try to watch every Iowa basketball game on the TV, and I really had a thrill, me and my wife, watching the Iowa girls play. I mean, I think the country kind of fell in love with them. And, Caitlin Clark is certainly, she reminds me of Pete Maravich is what she reminds me of. Pete Maravich used to play like that, where just come down on the run on the fly and just shoot a jump shot. But she makes them. A lot of people could try that, but they don't make them.
Kevin Kunnert stayed in Portland after his playing days and was a successful businessman. Now retired, he spends most days on the Sandy and Clackamas rivers, hooking salmon and steelhead. I'll have a final thought in just a minute on Fight for Iowa.
More of the Fight for Iowa podcast after this.
Knowing that I can make a difference in my patients' lives keeps me motivated every single day. Hi, I'm Dr. Kanya Ferguson at University of Iowa Healthcare. With academic medicine, we see the toughest cases, so we're always innovating. And we bring the best minds together to collaborate, so there's more brain power focused on you. Because that leads to exceptional care for our patients and our community. See how at uihc.org.
Hey, Hawkeyes fans, the wait is over. The Iowa men's and women's basketball teams are back on the court, and Shields has everything you need to cheer on your favorite players all season long. Take your game day gear to the next level. With Shields Fan Shop, we have an unmatched lineup of gear, including jerseys, hats, hoodies, and more to help you show off your team colors. So gear up, Hawkeyes fans, and celebrate all season with Shields, a proud partner of Iowa basketball and hoops fans everywhere.
Now back to the Fight for Iowa podcast. Here's the voice of the Hawkeyes, Gary Dolphin.
That's this week's Fight for Iowa podcast. Again, congratulations to Chris Murray. I'm Gary Dolphin. We'll be back next week with another edition of Fight for Iowa. Go Hawks.
You've been listening to the Fight for Iowa podcast. Hawkeye fans, remember to hit the subscribe button on your favorite podcast app. Once you become a Fight for Iowa podcast subscriber, you'll automatically receive the latest episodes of the Fight for Iowa podcast, the Hawkeyes Voice podcast, Hawk Talk replays, exclusive game day content, and more. Until next time, on Iowa and go Hawks! The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Hawkeye Sports Network.